Abuja.
Good morning and welcome to your number one general TV magazine program here on AIT, Dateline Abuja. Thank you for joining us today. Well, every April 26th, we celebrate the World Intellectual Property Day to learn about the role that intellectual property rights, which are patents, trademark, industrial designs, and copyrights, play in encouraging innovations and creativity. And this year, the world will be exploring how innovation is making our lives healthier, safer, and more comfortable, as well as turning problems into progress. Well, today on Dateline Abuja, we'll be focusing on how intellectual property systems support innovation and creativity. I'm Hauwa Momoh. Welcome.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Dateline Abuja on AIT. Well, today on Dateline Abuja, we'll be taking families and, maybe the schools who watch over the children.
That her children, her teenage children, have investments.
Every day in different parts of the world, there are ordinary people producing extraordinary new things to change the world for the better. And their innovations take countless forms, from the unremarkable to seemingly miraculous. Like a billboard in Peru that harvests water from the air, whereby supplying the local community with clean drinking water. A 3D printer at an American university that regenerates damaged human tissue. A mobile money transfer and microfinancing service from Kenya. Well, Nigeria is not left out when it comes to creativity and development, because we have a lot of creative and innovative minds. But the only problem we face is lack of support and exposure. The theme for this year's World Intellectual Property Day was tagged Innovation, Improving Lives. And innovation is, however, a human force that has no limits. It turns problems into progress, and it pushes the boundaries of possibility, however creating groundbreaking new capabilities. The World Intellectual Property Day 2017 celebrates the creative force, exploring on how world's most extraordinary innovations have improved our lives and how new ideas are helping to tackle shared global challenges such as climate change, health, poverty, and the need to feed an ever-expanding population. Our guest for today on Dateline Abuja will enlighten us more on the intellectual property system supports innovation and how it helps in improving lives. Well, my guest today on Dateline Abuja is Mr. Victor Bassey. Is an intellectual, technology, and investment lawyer, and he's here to discuss on intellectual property, using intellectual property to improve lives or improve the economy. You're welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
It's nice having you.
Nice having you as well. Thanks, my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, first things, I'm sure people will be wondering what intellectual property means.
Yes.
Do you want to just highlight on that a little bit?
Yes. Intellectual property generally refers to the protection of intellectual creations, exclusively giving ownership to the inventors or the creators of such properties, such as music, such as industrial designs, trademarks, and patents as well. All of these are intellectual property that is exclusively protected in order that the owners or those who created such property will have exclusive rights to use it. It might not be for a lifetime, at least for a minimum period of time.
Yeah. Okay, well, the world is celebrating Intellectual Property Day, and the theme for this year is using intellectual property to improve lives.
Yeah.
So, well, on Dateline Abuja, we're talking about to improve the economy.
Yeah.
How do you think we can use intellectual property to improve our economy?
Intellectual property can. In today's world economy, which is fundamentally knowledge-based economy, intellectual property can go a long way to improving and also adding to the growth of the economy of a particular country. For instance, the Patent Office of the U.S. in 2013 mentioned that the intellectual property within the U.S. constitute more above $5 trillion to the U.S. economy, above $5 trillion to the U.S. economy, and also employs about 18 million Americans.
Wow.
So it's huge, it's big.
It is, yeah.
So if you're protecting intellectual creations and giving exclusive ownership to those who created such designs or such creations, you will be encouraging them to be more hardworking, to be more focused, to be more creative, and also, the principle of hard work. If you're working hard, you deserve to earn the proceeds of your hard work, of your labor. Therefore, it is important, it is fundamental that intellectual properties should be protected, giving the rightful owners the exclusive rights to enjoy the process of such property, at least for a given period of time, anyway.
Well, you just mentioned, why do you think it's so important? And do you think Nigeria is practicing enough of intellectual property rights?
Well, I can't say exactly. I've just come back into the country. I've not been in this country for a very long time, and so I wouldn't say. But what I do know is that Nigeria is a member of several intellectual property treaties, conventions, and particularly the World Trade Organization. Nigeria has been a member of the World Trade Organization for a very long time, perhaps more than 20 years or 30 years, starting from the 60s and also 70s. And the World Trade Organization's agreements on trade-related intellectual property rights, TRIPS, allows the member countries to give patent rights to inventors, at least for a minimum period of 20 years. Oh. So I would say that Nigeria does have the framework, being a member of also the World Intellectual Property Organization, and also having acceded to several other conventions. So I would think that we have the framework. But it is a matter of enforcing it. It is a matter of educating the masses or the people about the importance of intellectual property. We do have, even in developed countries, we do have the challenges of how to protect effectively intellectual property, how to effectively protect patents from being infringed upon, protect patents from being transferred or from being misused or from being pirated. So we do have the framework, but I think it's a matter of practice, it's a matter of awareness and creating a framework, a centralized framework that addresses these issues, and that will have to do with the National Assembly. We'll have to look at it critically. Executive will also have to look at it critically. If I may have to deviate a little bit.
Okay.
Since I've come back into the country, one thing I've noticed is that Nigeria, we're excited about the use of technology. Very excited.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a centralized framework to govern these emerging technologies that we are using. And also, we are not creating the framework that protects the privacy and the rights of the individuals using these technologies. For instance, you talk about biometric, the biometric data. I have noticed that biometric data is taken almost everywhere in the country, rampantly.
Yeah.
It should be something that is taken just once Because
Oh,
it should be just one.
Yeah, because if you
it's
have
on your passport,
yeah, you don't need for your driver's license. True that, yeah, true.
So, I mean, so that is some of the things that we need to take into account by centralizing the governance and the regulation and of some of this.
Why do you think we do that?
Country. Well, I think it's just
like
because
in the banks, like your BVN.
I think it's also perhaps in order to beef up, the fight against corruption and also fraud. But I would think that there are other ways that can be handled without necessarily having to put, the Nigerian public through all of those pain that we go through in order to ensure the protection of these things. I mean, it doesn't really require us to do that.
Okay, what are the benefits of intellectual rights protection?
The benefits, one of such is to avoid an infringement. Okay, let's take it from this point of view. Okay, let's look at the financial incentives. Okay, if I am the creator of a particular intellectual creation or invention, so let's talk about Google.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Or let's talk about a book.
Okay, let's talk about a book. Okay. I'm the writer of the book.
Okay.
Okay, and my book becomes a bestseller, right? And my book becomes a bestseller, and that book brings in about $20 million.
Okay.
You can see the importance of that. Now, if that book is infringed upon, imagine if there is no intellectual property protection or law, imagine the chaos that we will experience when it comes to protecting the rights agreeable to an intellectual creation.
Yeah.
It will be chaotic. And therefore, the intellectual property law has created the platform whereby these things are clearly, effectively protected, exclusively protected, in order that those who created such inventions will benefit from it. And secondly, we look at the from the economic point of view. From the economic point of view, it motivates you to work hard. Now, if I submit a proposal, assuming I take a proposal to the ministry now, one of the ministries in Nigeria, and they nick it. What I say nick?
They copy.
They take it and,
oh my God.
and use it. I'm just using.
Okay.
I'm not saying it happens.
It happens. Okay.
I'm not saying it happens, but assuming that happens, that is going to affect. That is going to affect. I'm not going to have the benefit. I'm not going to have the reward that comes with the intellectual rigor that I've put into such work, and it is demoralizing for that to happen.
Yeah, it is.
So we need to be able to ensure that we protect intellectual property, intellectual rights in this country, because it helps to boost the economy, particularly given the fact that this is a knowledge-based era. I mean, most of the things that yield, most of the high-yielding companies deals on intangibles, things that you don't see.
Yeah.
So therefore, we need to be able to create this thing. And also, it's also important when you look at it from the moral point of view. The moral point of view, I mean, the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, Article 27 particularly talks about this, that an individual has a right to benefit from their intellectual creation. And so it's a fundamental human right.
Right, okay.
By itself, it's a fundamental human right. And then some of the arguments that have come out of that, you have the utilitarian theorists, you have the personality theorists, you have the Lockean theorists. And all of these are almost saying the same thing, that it promotes innovation, it promotes productivity, it promotes creativity, it promotes a society of reward, of reward of your hard work. So it is very important that we are able to ensure that intellectual property are being protected in this country.
What are the challenges you think we're facing? I mean, we have like artists who they can't even have rights to their songs.
Yeah.
We have people who, you just made an example of, if you're an author of a book, or you submit a proposal to a ministry and they copy it. What are the challenges you think Nigerians are facing in protecting our intellectual rights?
The challenge is, as I did mention earlier, I said that we do not have the proper awareness.
Awareness?
The proper awareness of what intellectual property is about. I mean, in fact, I can simply use the same words that it does use, and I don't attribute it. I don't give any attribution.
Okay.
Because if I use the words that you've used in your speech.
Okay, what word was that?
No, I'm saying, for instance, for example.
Okay.
If you're giving a speech now, and it's a speech that is given somewhere, perhaps political rally,
Okay.
so and you give a speech, and I want to give a speech, and I copy it verbatim without
editing,
without attribution, not even editing. You have, because you do have the safe harbor principle that that allows you to use a certain portion of an intellectual property either for research or for philosophical.
You just mentioned Google.
So it does allow you. It does allow you to some extent the safe harbor, but you also have to give attribution. You have to acknowledge that, hey, this is from Hauwa, or this is from Victor, this is from the Cameroon, and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the challenges that we are having, and I also think that we need to have a comprehensive framework, particularly on intellectual property protection and rights. We need to have a framework, and we need to have people that understand what intellectual property is about. I mean, I do understand that we play politics with everything in this country, but there are certain things that we need knowledgeable people that understand what it means. In technology, you need people that really have the technological knowledge and expertise to be able to lead technological institutions, organizations in this country. Politicians might not be able to do it because they might not have the background. I'm sorry to say, but one has to face the fact and say, hey, if this is about a particular expertise, let's call those that have the expertise in this area and allow them to lead. And then the politician might want to live by the side, but it's important that you do have a body that drives the intellectual property protection and rights and law in this country.
Okay, now coming back to improving lives and improving economy, how do you think we can use intellectual property to improve lives? Or to improve the economy?
First of all, people must be aware that if you have a trademark, you just have to try and register it. Excuse me. Because if you do not register your trademark, it can't be infringed upon.
Yeah.
Okay?
But people register and it's still being infringed upon.
Well, but again, they can challenge such infringement in court. And so if it is registered, you have rights accruable from such registration, because you've now been given an exclusive right of use. I mean, against every other person. With that, they can only use it based on permission, either expressly, constructively, or otherwise.
How can we use intellectual property now to improve lives or to improve our economy? What do you think the government can do to use intellectual property to improve lives?
One of such would be to create awareness. Like I said earlier, people must be aware that the infringement and misappropriation of intellectual property does carry some weight of punishment. Because you're talking about, for instance, we're saying you are infringing upon my rights, exclusive rights, on a particular book. You've copied almost the entire chapter, okay? Or you're pirating on the book. You pirate the entire book and sell cheaper than my book is originally sold for. So what does that means? You're undercutting me. That means you're depriving me of this exclusive right. And so therefore, the government has to beef up its effort in ensuring that the infringement of intellectual property is not tolerated, that people are punished for it. In some jurisdiction, you can challenge it through the civil law or private law. But also in countries like Argentina and also in China, it is a criminal offense to infringe upon somebody's intellectual property.
But China is the biggest. China duplicates almost everything.
Well, I cannot say. I don't know. But
I know.
Okay.
We have all our copy things made from China.
Okay. Okay. So we also have to look at misappropriation. For instance, talk about the protection of trade secrets. Although trade secrets are not made public, as what you said, trade secrets, they're secrets. Okay? But if they are stolen and used, for instance, in the U.S., they are all under the Espionage Act. If you steal trade secrets, you're liable. You can be punished. You are liable for some terms of that's imprisonment or fine. I'm not sure now, but it is a criminal offense to steal trade secrets in the U.S. But in the Commonwealth, countries, you do not the trade secrets do not automatically give you property rights, but they are rather equitable rights in Commonwealth countries. However, they can also they are punishable under the criminal law, so not under civil law.
Well, we're rounding up, but with intellectual property as a tool of economic growth, in Nigeria, we can't rule this out.
Yeah.
Intellectual property is a way for economic development
Yes.
and growth. But do you have any other recommendations, apart from you just saying we have to create more awareness and all the things you just said? Do you have more recommendations? You just talked about not only the government doing their own part, but actually like groups coming out, to say...
Well, I'm sure we have the trademark. We have the trademark act in this country, like that of the UK, which is the trademark act of 1994 of that of the UK, and I think we also have the patent law in this country, and I think we are also members. We are also members of several treaties, particularly WTO World Trade Organization, as it relates to agreements on trade-related intellectual property rights. And I do think we have that framework there already, but that framework needs to be organized, needs to be centralized, needs to be enforced, needs to be brought into life. They need to be given life. So the only recommendation that I would want to give to the government is that the government must take this seriously, because we are in an economy, in an era where intangibles contributes even much more than the things that we say, the physical things. So the knowledge-based economy is really, really huge financial base in developed countries. So go to the US, go to Europe, and see how intangibles are contributing to the economies of this country, of the growth of the economies of this country. They are making, like I said earlier, Ron, the patent office, the US Patent Office in 2013 mentioned that the intellectual property alone constitutes more than $5 trillion to the US economy.
Wow.
That's a lot. So therefore, if we are serious about the protection of intellectual creations of property in this country, people are going to be so encouraged. Trust me. So that will be another, and we also need to work with the National Assembly. The National Assembly needs to work with experts, people that understand these things, people that know they are specialized in these areas, not just in intellectual property or intellectual property protection, but in other areas like technology. For instance, let me not deviate now, but I would deviate a little bit. Okay. For instance, the use of CCTV. I've seen people use CCTVs in this country just indiscriminately. CCTVs are not only for the what is it called, the prosecution of criminals, or somebody comes and sees them, so, oh, that's a thief. No, it's also for the protection of the individual rights and privacy. All right. So if you have CCTV in this place, there must be a law of disclosure that there's a CCTV operating in this place, so that you are aware. It's not just something for me to catch a thief, like we say in Nigeria. Let's catch it. I caught it. No, but it's also to protect the individual, so that if Hauwa comes in as a woman, she knows that she can't open her, for instance, she wants to dress up properly, without knowing that there's a CCTV here. And she opens up herself and she's being caught and she's not aware. So we must be able to ensure that people's privacies are protected. And the use of CCTVs must be checked. And you're not allowed to capture footages on the road, public roads, because that will amount to profiling people, public roads. So you have to, if your house is too close to the road, you can't put CCTVs, because you'll be capturing the footages on the road.
Wow, that one is a huge awareness campaign of that.
Yes, so I think that's something we might have to talk about at some point anyway. I mean, I'll be glad to come in and talk about that.
Okay.
It's a long one. It's a long story.
Well,
anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and educating us more about intellectual property, or how to use intellectual property to improve our lives and economic growth. Thank you so much. You're watching Dateline Abuja, talking to Mr. Bassey Victor.
Yes.
Yeah, he is an intellectual property and technology lawyer. Thank you so much once again for
Thanks
joining
very
us.
much.
It's Dateline Abuja.
Thanks for watching. Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. The importance of intellectual property in Nigeria is growing fast, especially in terms of local inventions, which has become recognized internationally. And in order for proper economic, social, and cultural development to occur, intellectual property must play a fundamental role by updating our laws and incorporating the protection of intellectual property rights. There should be also improvements on awareness as to the importance of intellectual property in Nigeria, either through advertisements, seminars, and conferences in technical schools, institutions, and of higher learning, companies, and industries where most innovations are carried out. Well, that's the much we can take this week on Dateline Abuja. Thank you for staying with us, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media page. Join me, same time, same station, on AIT. I'm Hauwa Momoh. Good morning.